Some of those I have listed there on the right, with Access Service, Business Connectivity Service, which is the renamed Business Data Catalog, Excel Calculation Services, which they've greatly expanded, the new the Visio Graphics Services, the ability to display full fidelity Visio diagrams in a web page with connections back to other lines of businesses to show in a semi-real-time state. The Word automation services to be able to convert things to and from Word to PDF to HTML to other different formats. Search, which you'd all be familiar with in SharePoint 2007, they've greatly expanded that, as well as added the Microsoft Fast Search service, which then brings the visual best bets, document previews, document thumbnails, expertise search, all into the SharePoint ecosystem. Performance Point service. They literally shut down the Performance Point application back in April of 2009 and took that entire product and rolled that into SharePoint 2010 to give that the rich line of business graphing and dashboarding and accountability systems within SharePoint. The Managed Metadata Service, one of the most requested features for the next release of SharePoint, which ended up being 2010, the ability to maintain a consistent message of the metadata that's going to be attached to documents, content, videos, PowerPoints, you name it. This is a one centralized control to allow you to standardize your message and standardize the structure of your environment. And the User Profile Service, which has gotten huge in its ability to work with microblogging and social networking with its integration into, say, Office 2010, Exchange 2010, with its ability to kind of work as like a LinkedIn, Facebook kind of hybrid. So it really kind of brings a lot of extra services. On top of that, the new interface with its inline editing, no more real need for the SharePoint Designer, even though it's still there. It's mainly used now as an administration source. The introduction of Silverlight and some of those Web 2.0 technologies to decrease the amount of the time it takes to load pages and increase the overall user experience. Lastly, and this is a feature that I've been playing with a lot, is content sets. The ability to take grouping of content. So if you have, say, for this webinar, we have our slides and the video. We can put that into one set and then have that display as a set within our content that we can then display to users. It allows for some really nice content grouping. So the two other features that they don't talk about as much, but I really believe that is huge in their in the overall presentation layers. The PowerPoint presentation service, the ability to use almost like a live meeting style presentation source for PowerPoint presentations like our webinar today, as well as video streaming services, which is something that a lot of people asked for that they didn't really didn't include in 2007. But now with the addition of Silverlight, they're able to put in full video streaming.
So extranets, we're going to jump into our first poll here, and let me pull it up. And the question is, do you currently have an extranet in your deployment? 4 options: already deployed with SharePoint, 2007, looking to do it on 2010, or not deployed, not interested, not deployed, no plans, no interest. Go ahead and vote, and Jason will continue on.
So moving into extranets, the one thing that SharePoint 2010 seems to really push forward is the ability to work not only work and collaborate not only internally within your company, but then work with your partners and vendors, say like Azaleos, where we'd be able to co-collaborate on projects, on tasks, on content that benefits your organization. This is where things like the managed metadata service, the business connectivity service, and some of the office services, the Visio, Excel, Word, InfoPath, PowerPoint, all kind of come together to allow you to work strongly with your third-party partners as well as vendors. They've also increased the security model. I touched briefly on that with the managed accounts. There's also new checks and balances with the claims service and the security levels and document versioning that allow you to only show to the people that need to see the document, the content and information, while allowing the employee to be able to see it all. With that in mind, it's really become apparent that utilizing an extranet environment and utilizing that type of collaboration can really benefit your business. In fact, that's something that we're currently using here. So moving on to farms. This is where on the large-scale deployments, on the global deployments where you have multiple sites that are geographically dispersed, you can really take advantage of the SharePoint 2010 in the fact that now farms can have actual roles. You can have a web content farm, which that's primarily displays the content to the user, services farm for the managed metadata, performance point, PowerPoint, the office services, Power Pivot, SQL reporting services, all of that can be located within its own farm. And then the search farms, which then can be utilized in a geographically dispersed environment, the ability to quickly have a single point of search or a single point of services. That works into the ability to scale this thing out with a fairly lower cost for the larger deployments. As you see there in the little map that I've kind of put together, how you see the different web front ends, you see the services, and then you see a search, how they're all kind of working. That is considered one full farm or one full environment with multiple farms located within it. This can really benefit in the fact that when you do have a geographically dispersed environment, you'd be able to only have to worry about the front end, the web farms, and then have those connect back through what's called a service application proxy to connect back to the services farm to display content. And with a lot of the performance gains that SharePoint 2010 sees over its predecessors, it's really being able to pull off this kind of environment becomes very lucrative for globally dispersed deployments. Lastly, I wanted to talk about migrations.
And before Jason gets into migrations, I'm just going to go into our last poll here and find out where everybody is with your particular migration. How quickly do you plan to migrate over to SharePoint 2010 now that it is released? You go ahead, and the polls are open. Go ahead, Jason.
Migrations, if anyone's gone through a 2003 to 2007 migration, they realize that was possibly the most painful point of within SharePoint. There was a lot of caveats. There was a lot of issues. The SharePoint 2007 didn't support anything that was within SharePoint 2003. Now with 2010. They've heard that, for all intents and purposes, they've heard our cries, and they've added in full functionality of SharePoint 2007 within SharePoint 2010, making it almost completely backwards compatible. The recommended upgrade path is to utilize a detached database upgrade.